Hey, let's talk about them. It's going to be a struggle to find the next Mexican superstar. And in boxing, it's hard to find the next superstar. If y'all want to hear that video in general, let me know. I'll cut it. Let me know in the comment section. But yeah, you know, it ain't really been an abundance of Mexican superstars, especially at once. Even in boxing, it ain't been like, you know, rarely you see a bunch of like true stars. And you know, reason in this era why you don't see a lot of true stars is because you got to fight to be a star. Some guys like Sugar Ray Leonard, the Olympics was really in America. This would be for the overall video in the UK. The gold medal was the easy leg up to sponsorships and high signing bonuses and great contracts. And guys who didn't get the gold medal, or at least a silver or a bronze, they started off at the bottom, right? Which in the long run, cream rise to the top. Your journey is what shapes your character and your fortitude, your mental fortitude, and you as a man. Right, but also it could be held against you. You can still not get those fights. Like, you know, had Aaron Pryor, you know, won a gold medal in the Olympics, Sugar Ray Leonard probably would have had to fight him. Thomas Hearns probably would have had to see him. But for the most part, it's really, you know, we see the pit push. If y'all want to see that video, I'll talk about the push for a Brad to be, you know, a Brad superstar in the combat sports. I'll talk about that. But Mexicans already know. You know, Puerto Ricans, they deal with the ups and the downs. It's a small island, so nobody, if they misses a generation or it skips a decade, you can't blame Puerto Ricans. You know, it's not a big area. So to produce as many great fighters as they have, Felix Trinidad, Miguel Cotto, Xander Zayas might be up next. You know, to produce those guys is like, you know, it's like Hector Camacho. To produce those guys is like, you know, I think Roberto Benitez was Puerto Rican. To produce those guys, you know, that's a feat in itself. And Mexico is not overly big, especially when they took Texas and New Mexico and Southern California away from them. But there's a push because most of the sanctioning belt bodies, the WBC heavily favor Mexicans. The WBA, they favor Hispanics. The IBF is an American belt, but they don't favor Americans. Looking throughout their ranking system, it's a bunch of unknown Europeans and most, or unknown foreigners, and they sanction the belt body in the WBO that's more, I believe, more Hispanic as well too. So a sport dominated by Black Americans, you know, and shit, even by Brits have done their thing, and now you got the continent of Asia, from China, Japan, is really good fighters. Even over the years, I remember Brandon Figueroa had a really good fight. I forget the dude's name, man. One of the Fight of the Year candidate he had with him at 135. That was a great fight. I forget the guy's name. It was one of the best fights I can remember I seen live. And but they're pushing, and it ain't really no go. Canelo had a distinguished look, you know, kind of looking like an Irishman and all that. He had a distinguished look. Right now, who do you got? Isaac Cruz? Like, nah. And for the most part, you know, for Isaac Cruz, you know, let's say he was him, you know, he got the opponents from Fulton to Oshaki Foster, Shakur Stevenson, Teofimo Lopez. Like, he would have the opponents to beat him. You know, Virgil Ortiz, do they really claim Virgil like that? I guess they do, but you know, right now he really don't have the opponents list. You know, if he could get Crawford, if he did more, I feel like he would get Crawford, even ducking him before. If he fought Boots and he was able to get Crawford and get Conor Benn, I think his path would be pretty good. I mean, shit, had Andy Ruiz to, you know, not got that money and, you know, went crazy. Andy Ruiz would easily be the transferable guy in the sport of boxing right now. Had he got the belt and, you know, he took serious, he got that money and, you know, he started fucking these hoes. You know what I mean? So it easily could be Andy Ruiz right now, sharing the throne with Canelo. And I believe Andy Ruiz had the chin, he had the speed, he had the talent. You know what I'm saying? He had the talent. You know, so you got a bunch of guys that's out there, and they support their fighter, they smaller fighters. You know, Bam Rodriguez is obviously the choice, but, you know, now more Mexican fans are, you know, seem like it's more casual than it's ever been before. It used to be a bunch of knowledgeable ones. I used to know a bunch of knowledgeable Mexicans, man. You know, especially in the social media era, man. I just know a bunch of them. And a lot of them was older, and they ain't fuck with Canelo. I say that first and foremost. They didn't fuck with him, you know, but they fuck with their people. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, they on the goose chase. They can try to make Ryan a face of boxing. They can try to push for Eastside Cruz. They can try to push for a lot of these guys. I feel like you know, David Benavidez. I don't think they claim David Benavidez. I was listening to Bruce, and he said, you know, it's because he pay homage to the brothers, and he worked with the brothers, and he with Al Haymon. They ain't got shit to do with it, homeboy. It's because he's a mulatto. That's what it is. It's because he's a mulatto. But I do agree with some of that stuff that he was saying. But Mikey got down with him. They fuck with Mikey. Canelo got down with Al. They fuck with him. But also, I feel like Bruce is right though. Like, he did a video. Shout out to Bruce. He did a video about black people always being to blame in boxing. He right about that shit though. But I still fuck Gayweather though. I ain't gonna lie. You know, he up there getting butt broke by the small hat community. I just don't fuck with him. But he right about that. You know, now I've always stated the fact that Bob Arum is the reason kind of more boxing is fucked up. And I go in that very short, very small right here. He's the reason. Yeah, Al Haymon did a lot of fucked up shit. But you got to remember, Bob Arum started hating on Al Haymon because of the money he was getting from HBO, you know, for the fights. And Bob was like, why y'all giving him that money? I deserve that money. That's what happened. He was hating on Al first. So that's why that situation, you know, really wasn't Al. You know, his business model fucked the shit up, but he probably did want to work with Bob at some point, and that relationship was all severed by Bob Arum hating. But yeah, they searching for the next Hispanic Mexican superstar. And really, I mean, you know, everybody's searching for the next star. You know, Moses Atama in the UK, they trying to, you know, expedite him. You know, they talking about, well, you know, Usyk ducked Wardley. Oh, so what? Who gives a fuck? We already know what Usyk could do to him. We knew what Usyk was going to do to Joseph Parker. And that just comes to show when you're not on the popularity list with these fight fans and they don't really like you, ain't popular, it ain't never good enough. They start going to the bottom basement guys like Wardley and Joseph Parker. They start going with those guys. Oh, they start becoming delusional. Like how they delusional about Tank. He can do no wrong. They delusional about other fighters and shit like that. They started to become, you know, delusional the opposite way for the fighters they like. But right now, obviously, Mexico got contenders to take that mantle. But yo, do Virgil Ortiz, you beat up Jerron Business, you probably, you know, get a beat up Fondora. Maybe you can entice Bud to fight when he get a title at 60. He might can take that throne. You know, I think with a little bit of seasoning and a little, you know, maybe somebody can prep him on personality, on PR, I think he'd be pretty good. You know, if they accept him, I think he would be pretty good. I mean, he ain't got to never leave the state of Texas again. Real spill, he ain't got to never leave the great state of Texas again. But he got to understand, dog, you got to go take it. You got the opponents, and guess what? Unfortunately, for a lot of other guys, they might not be at the right weight class. They might not have the right opponents to take that mantle. They might have the talent, but they don't have the opponents. Like David Benavidez. In reality, they don't fuck with him because he a mulatto. Go look at Roberto Duran, some of the other fighters that was mulatto. You know, they really look at him as Ecuadorian. That's just what it is. They don't really look at him as one of theirs. He can drag that flag all he want to, but they don't fuck with him like that. And that's why they chose Canelo over him. And they'll rather go without a Mexican superstar before they transfer it over to David Benavidez. You know, they watch, you know, Chavez go out. They watch Chavez go out sad. I mean, shit, they was mad when De La Hoya beat Chavez. And then they was mad when Canelo Alvarez beat on Angulo. Fredo Angulo, they booed him. They booed him. So they fuck with the people that's from the home turf. No, Benavidez, he got the opponent, but I just don't think they fuck with him because he's a mulatto. And that's my opinion on it. You know? Just this CJ's opinion. But, you know, Benavidez, Bevel, Gilberto Ramirez, what's the brother's name? Anthony Yard. That's a good start. But I just don't think, unless he go to heavyweight and do some damage, I don't think he got the sauce for the reasons I named. So yeah, you know, right now, just like the rest of the boxing, you know, we looking for the next star. Either they might have the talent, they ain't got the opponents. They might have the talent and they got the opponents, but, or they, you know, they don't have the personality. All that go hand in hand. You gotta, if you ain't, you gotta have the gift of gab and personality, and that's one of the things that we not seeing from our young men and our men in this country. Personality is dead. It's dead. If you got personality, you got charisma, you got the gift of gab, bro, you got one up. You got one up no matter damn near what you look like. You got one up on everybody. I see a lot of these dudes like doing videos and they really don't like come up with sayings. Their delivery is trash. They don't really have no sauce. And you can see the talent in YouTubers. You can see the talent. You see them grow over time. Or just people on TV. A lot of people, like Emmanuel Acho is talented. LaShawn McCoy is talented. You know what I'm saying? Stuart Scott, rest in power to him, talented. Brian Custer is talented. You can see the talent dripping off of them. Stephen A, say what you want to say about Stephen A, talented. So, you know, either you got it or you don't. You know what I'm saying? And that's why you see a lot of them New Yorkers, like especially back in the day, a lot of them are very talented MCs, very talented artists, articulate. Because New York, you gotta be him. Have y'all ever been to New York? Like 5 in the fucking morning, they honking, shut the fuck up. You know, they can talk their ass off. You know what I'm saying? If you can't talk, man, it's hard to be a star, bro. You gotta have that, though, charisma like Mike. But Mike was from New York, you can pop that shit too. But hey, it is what it is, or it is what it ain't. Hit the link in the description. Follow me on X, Facebook, Kick, Twitch, the whole nine. Join the Patreon. Peace.